Henry Wirtz. He is here visiting his grandson.
Thank you. Okay, Frank, turn off that machine. These people want to hear the story. Rock Beverage is a name recognized by almost anybody who lives in Waukegan.
Yep.
It trips the memory of a small town bottler who served generations, 5 to be exact, of folks, school kids, churches, organizations, and families who came in on Saturday particularly to buy our product. But I didn't start this company. It was started when I was 7 years old and I lived in Düsseldorf, Germany. But it was started here in Waukegan in 1874 in a ravine just south of North Belvedere Road. Now you're wondering where that is, and just east of Lincoln Avenue. There was a spring down in there, and Mr. Powell, who was the one who started the company, bottled spring water and sold it for 12 years. You think bottled water is something new? After 12 years, I got a recipe for this soda or pop, whatever you want to call it, and changed the name to Glen Rock Mineral Spring. In 1914, Mr. Powell wanted to get out of the business. At the same time, I, Henry Wirtz, and my wife Caroline had immigrated from Germany and settled in Elgin. And I learned the bottling trade, and she learned to be a mother. She had 8 children in 10 years. So I heard of this bottling works up here in Waukegan, so we moved the family up to Waukegan. And we rented a house at 125 South Lincoln Avenue. So from my back door, I could leave in the morning, walk down the ravine, and I was at the bottling works. That's where the spring was. It was a great commute. However, in 1922, just 8 years later, the spring gave out. I often wonder, Mr. Powell sold me something he knew was important. I took the bottling works and moved it out of the ravine, which was really unhandy, across what is now on Rock Avenue, put a Lincoln Street. That building still resides there today. We called ourselves Glen Rock Bottling Works. We continued in that business, and my son Henry and Frank came into the business. And in 1934, we had a disagreement as to how we should distribute our product. So being good Germans as we were, we couldn't agree to disagree, or agree to disagree, but get the picture. I started bottling my product, called it Wirtz Bottling Works, and the boys continued to bottle Glen Rock. And that went on for 10 years. Can you imagine? 2 of us in the same building, with the same equipment, with 2 different names. In 1946, I decided that I no longer wanted to be in the business, so I gave it to my boys. This was a fun business. Fun because I love to see people come in happy and bring their kids, and they grab an empty crate, and they go around and they pick out the flavor they want. So everybody won. And the flavors were in a 7-ounce bottle, which was just the right size for kids to drink. Not a lot of waste, and it wasn't carbonated, so they could finish it. We did this in 18 flavors. What was your favorite flavor?
Grapefruit, root beer, and cream soda.
Grapefruit.
Well, this happens to be Green River, which is my favorite. So as I said, This is a fun business. Everybody came in happy, went out happy.
It works, everyone. The Glen Rock Beverage Company actually, technically, they still have a storefront located where that bottling area has always been. Now it's kind of the equivalent of a convenience store. They sell chips, candy, soda, beer, the like. And that's what they do now.
I have another thing here for you. Just in case you're in need of any blacksmithing needs, why don't you go to Kidder and Brown on State Street? It says, you will find that they will do the clean thing and that their prices will be no higher than the times will admit of. We will make anything in the iron way from an anchor to a needle. Bring on your work. Again, that's Kidder and Brown on State Street.
Wonderful. Yes.
Commercial broadcasting and radio started in 1920, but it never arrived in Waukegan until about 1926. And in 1926, Maurice Mayer got the first license to broadcast radio. And he broadcasted from the Merid Ballroom, which was on South Genesee Street. And he did that in 1927. In 1928, he brought it to his house on Hazel Court. And in 1929, he closed up shop. And then in 1935, the call letters licensed WCBD. I don't know how anybody could remember that. It was broadcast from the Karcher Hotel. And then in 1949, WKRS FM came into being, and it worked part-time. It wasn't a full-time station. And later on that same year, WKRS AM came into being, which of course is still broadcasting today. In 1930 directory here in Waukegan, it showed that there were 8 manufacturers between Waukegan and North Chicago that were manufacturing radios. There were 15 other businesses that went into sales, service, and so on that had to do with radio. But the biggest thing that happened with radio was that not only employment, but it brought everyone closer together. In Chicago, we had 3 major radio stations, WBBM, WJJD, and WLS. Now WLS was very famous for broadcasting every Saturday night the National Barn Dance. And because Chicago was so close, they would come to Waukegan and they would perform at the Genesee. So radio changed our lives. And of course, it went beyond that. By 1949, we were talking about television. So on Washington Street, we had what we called the Radio Institute. It taught you how to act. It taught you broadcasting. It taught you everything you needed to know about acting. Thank you.